What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Block Hash Podcast channel. Let's talk crypto. Today, we're going to cover the Bitcoin chart and what the price action currently looks like going into August, now that July is almost wrapped up. Make sure to check out our sponsor, BENFT. They're revolutionizing education using a cool combination between DeFi methods and artificial intelligence. They're a fantastic project, really changing the way you educate people. Go check out all the links in the description below. Also, get access to this video on Patreon before it comes out on YouTube by signing up at the link for Patreon down below. It's the cost of only 2 cups of coffee a month. And boy, is that coffee good. All right, so let's dive into Bitcoin. We are still in this long-term funnel that we've drawn out since the beginning of the year. It's been widening a little bit, but ever since January 1st, even dating back to November, we can see that Bitcoin has been slowly marching upwards. Notably, we've had pops, 1, 2, and 3. One in January around the 10th, one in March around the same day, and one in June. All right, we have struggled to get through the 32,000 level, creating a resistance within that region. We have an area of consolidation ever since March 28th or so, where we slightly dipped below it, slightly dipped above it, but relatively we are in our purple consolidation range. We also have an inflection zone in which it looks like is a very important area for Bitcoin in terms of pullbacks. We pulled back a couple times and hit the zone, and one time in particular where we hit our bottom trend line, just like we did back in March, and continue to the upside with a third leg up. And now Bitcoin is correcting again back into this consolidation zone. And the question is, as we go into August, are we going to see something along the lines of this, where we test this and come back up? Or are we going to see something where very soon, trickling sideways, we pump? That's what we're going to discuss today, the viability, the possibilities, what is likely, what isn't likely. On the Bollinger Band, it is very, very tight right now. Usually when it gets this tight, we have a big move come in for Bitcoin, but it is the tightest it's been all year. And it's right now just trickling down a little bit, either waiting for a breakout to happen or it's going to pop back up. In terms of time spans for this, we had since the 21st of January until late January to early March, late March to mid-June. This was a long period of time, and we're looking at late June to late July, so we're still early in this. I'd say another month we're going to get a really good idea. August might be a month where things are down quite a bit, where we do see this trickle-down effect. So don't be surprised about that. I think September is going to be a very good month, but to get to September, we have to stay above this line. It's very, very important. By the time we get to the 1st of September, we're looking at 28.7 being our new low that we want to stay above. Let's kill the Bollinger Band for a second, bring up the EMA. Something very important to note about Bitcoin is it consistently drops below the 20 and 50-day moving average on the daily, which is fine. It happens all the time. And it even has plunged below the 100 and 200, but very short term. It has this buoyancy effect that I've talked about multiple times, where when it does that, it seems to pop back up. You can even argue back down here after the FTX collapse and saga that it did pop back up. I did this again in June, came down and then popped back up. We are pretty far from that at the moment. Oops, don't know what I'm doing. But if you can see it, it's right here, right on our trend line for our floor. So we could come all the way back down to the 27,000 range. Don't be surprised by that if it does happen. It'll be totally fine and still natural. I don't know if we're going to go that low. I think the reality could be 28,000 if we keep ranging sideways, because this is climbing. Again, any break below this would be concerning, but I don't think it's going to happen. This inflection zone seems very strong. Bitcoin's very strong around the 26,000 level, 25,000 level. I don't think it wants to go back below. Plus, there's a lot of former ceilings that are now floors, which is a great sign. And the hard thing is getting through this former ceiling, all right, which has also been a number of former floors in the past, dating all the way back to 2021 and even early 2021, right after December of 2020. So this is a hard range for Bitcoin to get through. Either it pulls back down, which I don't know how far it would, but 27 to 28,000 I think is the new bottom for Bitcoin. Popping to the upside could present a lot of interesting scenarios where we break 32,000. The likely scenario is we come up around the 40,000 level. Maybe we find some resistance here at former floors, here, a few in here, you could say here, and then maybe topping out at 48,000. But Bitcoin is primed to make that move and that jump. I think it's going to take a little bit more of a catalyst because we're still far from the 2024 halving. I think we got like another 9 months. April, May, June, July. Yeah, about 9 months. In that time, Bitcoin could continue to climb or it could settle. But I do think we're going to have a big pop before we have a notable pullback. So at some point soon, maybe in September, we get a move that comes up to 48-ish, 46-ish, then comes down. This would look totally normal. And then as we get into later in 2024, we go for the real move to break all-time highs. That is my guess at what's going to happen. It's very tricky. But if we dial back into the short term here, just to really understand the price action, the RSI is below the moving average. It's not oversold yet, but it's getting down there. So it'll be interesting to see if it goes for oversold or if it stops out at the 30.74, which it has done many times in the past. All right, so if that's the case, then we're getting closer and closer to a bottom here, which will happen probably in August, maybe the first week of August next week, maybe the second week of August, sometime around there. Next 2 weeks, we should get a really clear indication. It could just rocket straight up, who knows? But if I have to give any kind of price prediction, oh, is this an arrow? Ooh, I like that arrow. If I have to give any kind of indication, I'd say the upper side of what we're looking at is $50,000. I think Bitcoin can easily make that jump. Whereas I think the downside is 27, 28,000. So the upside is looking way better than the downside. And it just keeps chugging on. Should we look at one more indicator while we can? Let's go to the MACD. I love myself the good MACD. Honestly, for Bitcoin, this is a good setup. I like it when the MACD is flat versus the moving average. Even when it's trending down, that's usually a bullish sign. In fact, we didn't have any of this choppiness. We aren't having any of that choppiness that constituted between late March and mid-June before we got another pump up. And that choppiness was very hard to understand, but we're having a very clean move where we came up and moving sideways. What did I just do? I don't want that. I want my brush. But a very clear move where we came up and now we're going sideways and now we're looking to fulfill another upside move potentially. But the MACD is showing that, and the red, the sell volume has been just consistent, not spiking, not over the top, just consistent. That's a good sign because the buy volume is a lot stronger than the sell volume at the moment. It's just that there's no presence of buy volume, so the sell volume just compiles over time, and you slowly get drip, 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 drip. Then the buy volume comes back in, pop. It's kind of how it works. But yeah, that's where we're at with Bitcoin. 50,000 to the upside is my guess sometime in the next couple months, potentially. If it doesn't happen the next couple months, then we'll have to wait until 2024. But I do think it's boiling up to around September. So if I have to be really optimistic, 50,000 sometime between September and October. If it doesn't happen, 50,000 in the first part of 2024 as we get close to the halving. If we get a pullback, probably 27, 28. I'd be surprised if we go lower, but we could afford to do it. I just don't think it's going to happen. All right. Those are my thoughts. Comment what you think down below on Bitcoin and the direction of it and what you think the price is going to be as we get closer to the fall. Hope you guys are enjoying your summer. Make sure to like the video, share with someone interested in the price action for Bitcoin as well, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you have, you guys are the best. Talk to you soon. Cheers.